Are Ken and Barbie married? How did they even meet? And what did Barbie think about Ken's earring? The iconic dolls may have been inseparable since the early 60s, but there's still a lot of stuff we ignore about their relationship. Barbie was the first of her kind when she debuted in 1959. Before Barbie, girls' toys revolved around themes of domestic labor, and dolls typically took the form of babies. Although homemaking is a valid ambition, Barbie's creator, Ruth Handler, felt it was time for a new type of doll. Thus, Ruth rejected the customary baby doll and created a full-fledged woman doll. Everything about Barbie was cutting edge, from her wardrobe to her career as a fashion model. Ruth also noticed that baby dolls had fallen out of favor with her daughter, Barbara, who was more interested in playing with paper fashion dolls. The observation helped validate Ruth's revolutionary idea. She named the iconic doll Barbie in Barbara's honor. When Ken came along in 1961, he followed a similar trajectory. Ruth created the hunky doll as Barbie's perfect match. When choosing a moniker for the doll, Ruth kept with tradition by naming him after her son and Barbie's brother, Kenneth. So although Barbie and Ken are known as the world's most famous toy couple, it may very well be more accurate to describe them as brother and sister. Barbie may have been conceived in the image of a modern, self-empowered woman, but some consumers weren't impressed with her single status. As far as the masses were concerned, Barbie could have all the clothing and shoes in the world, but she was still missing the ultimate accessory, a boyfriend. In her autobiography, Ruth Handler revealed that fans sent numerous letters demanding a suitor for Barbie. The uproar was too loud to be ignored, so Handler delivered. As Barbie director Greta Gerwig said in Vogue in 2023, Ken was invented after Barbie to burnish Barbie's position in our eyes and in the world. That kind of creation myth is the opposite of the creation myth in Genesis. In 1961, Barbie received her dream guy, a fit, immaculately groomed stud in tiny red swim trunks. His full name was Kenneth Sean Carson, and he stood half an inch taller than Barbie. And from that moment on, he's been a fixture of the Barbie universe. Every couple has an origin story, but Barbie and Ken's mythology has an air of mystery to it. Over the years, Mattel has offered at least 2 different versions of how Barbie met Ken. The first story came from Ken's debut commercial, which aired in 1961. The ad shows Barbie decked out in an elegant fur-trimmed ball gown. A narrator tells us,
"It all started at the dance. Barbie, the famous teenage fashion model doll by Mattel, felt that this was to be a special night."
Then, the glamorous doll turns and sees Ken for the first time. The vintage commercial was our first introduction to Barbie's boyfriend. The second version of Barbie and Ken lore comes directly from Mattel. According to Barbie Media, the fashion dolls actually connected while filming their first commercial together. Regardless of how their meet-cute went down, 2 facts remain consistent. They've been an item since 1961, and it was love at first sight. The rest, as we know, is history. Most of us can attest to playing with Barbie dolls in strange ways during childhood. Whether you chopped off Barbie's hair, covered her in crayon marks, or yanked off her arm, you're not alone.
Hi, I'm Weird Barbie. I am in the splits, I have a funky haircut, and I smell like basement.
The same goes for using Barbie and Ken to act out adult-themed activities. It's standard behavior amongst Barbie owners. Nevertheless, the reality is that Barbie and Ken have never actually had sex, as evidenced by their complete lack of sexual anatomy. If you've ever wondered about how Ken's awkwardly smooth crotch came to be, trust us, you're not the only one. In fact, during his development, Ken's groin was a significant topic of debate at Mattel. Ruth Handler envisioned Barbie's boyfriend with a penis, or at least a little bump, to suggest the presence of one. But that was a step too far in the eyes of Mattel executives. Handler told BBC in 1997, "It was a conscious decision to make the Ken doll without genitals. That was a discussion between the designers and me, in which I lost." Ultimately, Handler's persistence paid off, and Ken did get a little bump as the years went on. In Greta Gerwig's Barbie, Barbie and Ken don't know what sex is, which suggests that the deed doesn't exist in Barbie land.
I thought I might stay over tonight.
Why?
Because we're girlfriend-boyfriend.
To do what?
I'm actually not sure.
After Ken was created in response to consumer demands, there were more attempts to influence Barbie's life in plastic. Namely, fans wanted her to get married and have children. After all, this was the expected trajectory for most women at the time. While many fans have assumed otherwise, Barbie and Ken actually never officially made it down the aisle. This was a deliberate choice by Handler, as Barbie was meant to be a symbol of choice for little girls. Through Barbie, Handler wanted to convey that being a homemaker was just one of many options available to young women. That said, Mattel found ways to meet consumers in the middle regarding their wishes for Barbie. Rather than give her a baby, the toy makers gave her a gaggle of siblings, 7 in total. Instead of having Barbie get pregnant, Mattel passed the buck to her friend, Midge. A pregnant Midge doll was released in 2002, and she featured a removable pregnancy belly that concealed a tiny infant underneath. Midge landed Mattel in immediate hot water with consumers, and she was discontinued within the year. In addition to the question about whether or not they're actually siblings, there's yet another theory that suggests Barbie and Ken's relationship may not be a romantic one. Many feel that Ken's creators were wrong to characterize him as Barbie's boyfriend because he's actually her gay best friend. Of course, Ken being gay is not weird in and of itself, but it would be a notable departure from the extremely heteronormative relationship history assigned to the dolls. The Daily Beast points to Ken's queer-coded storyline in the film Toy Story 3, which presents him as Barbie's fashion-obsessed platonic companion. However, the most compelling evidence comes from Ken himself, specifically from Earring Magic Ken, who is widely considered a queer icon. The doll was a glorious display of 90s queer counterculture, complete with a mesh shirt, frosted hair, and a ring-like necklace that resembled a certain sex toy. Mattel discontinued the controversial doll 6 months after his 1993 debut. However, his legacy remains, and he is still one of the most popular Kens ever. In 2004, Barbie and Ken called off their legendary romance, proving that even plastic hearts can break. Mattel's vice president of marketing delivered the news, writing in a statement, "Like other celebrity couples, their Hollywood romance has come to an end." Another bombshell rocked the Barbieverse when Mattel revealed that Barbie had moved on and was dating Blaine, an Australian doll with a passion for boogie boarding. However, by 2006, Blaine was discontinued, and Ken returned with an updated look to win back his lady. Lisa McKnight, an executive of Mattel, told Entertainment Weekly that the breakup triggered a massive backlash from the Barbie community. McKnight explained, "We got a lot of formal petitions from brand fans, Barbie fan groups, asking for them to get back together, so there's a lot of passion there." McKnight revealed that the dolls ultimately realized they were made for each other and rekindled their romance in 2011. Barbie even made things official by changing her Facebook status to "in a relationship."
Did you bring your rollerblades?
I literally go nowhere without them.
No dream is too big for Barbie. After all, she's the doll who emerged as a trailblazing tycoon during an era where women had fewer economic opportunities, and she takes that role very seriously. Over the years, Barbie has racked up an impressive resume. According to Mattel, the tenacious toy has held more than 200 jobs, including astronaut, surgeon, veterinarian, and many more. Ken holds some impressive job titles too, but he has one distinct specialty: beach bum. That's the official job title of at least a dozen different iterations of the Ken doll. On top of her ambitious career moves, Barbie owns numerous cars, campers, and boats, plus her sprawling dream house. Barbie has always been a self-sufficient queen, which explains why her relationship with Ken is a mediocre subplot in an otherwise riveting story. As Barbie star Ryan Gosling sees it, Ken struggles with living in Barbie's bountiful shadow.
I just don't know who I am without you.
Gosling told Entertainment Tonight, "Ken's got no money, he's got no job, he's got no car, he's got no house, he's going through some stuff. He may not be the breadwinner, but Ken has found other ways to pull his weight in the relationship." Barbie media has dubbed him Arm Candy, Prince Charming, and the guy in waiting. He's always willing to sidestep the spotlight and give Barbie infinite room to shine, and we love that about him. We've seen Barbie's hair take on all different shapes, lengths, colors, textures, and styles, and her makeup is always up to date. Ken's appearance, on the other hand, underwent a limited amount of changes over the course of the first few decades of his existence. Sure, his hair went from flocked to plastic to synthetic, but beyond that, reworking Ken's overall look was not exactly the top priority. As former Mattel VP Michael Shore told GQ, Ken was really viewed as more of an accessory in Barbie's world, to support the narrative of whatever was happening with the girls. In 2017, the Ken line got what The Guardian called its biggest aesthetic update since 1961. Mattel exec Lisa McKnight said in a statement at the time, "Evolving Ken was a natural evolution for the brand and allows girls to further personalize the role they want him to play in Barbie's world." This makeover included new body types, new skin tones, and 9 new hairstyles. In 2021, Mattel introduced a Ken who uses a wheelchair. The following year, a Ken doll with vitiligo was unveiled. As Barbie continues to be more inclusive, Ken is now following in her footsteps. According to senior Barbie designer Robert Best, there's much more Kenovation on the way. He told USA Today, "People want to see themselves in the product, which is why being inclusive and diverse is so important. Ken is definitely continuing to evolve and grow." As the creator of the Barbieverse, Ruth Handler understood the unique language between a Barbie and her owner. Handler told Lilith in 1994, "It gives a little girl the ability to dream about her future. A girl can interpret the adult world around her with this doll as a prop. Unfortunately, the adult world can be harsh, and Barbie has occasionally been used to communicate some troubling messages about gender. For example, in 1981, Barbie starred in a commercial that portrayed a toxic relationship dynamic between her and Ken. The ad featured 2 little girls playing with Magic Curl Barbie, a doll with voluptuous curls that could be straightened using a special styling product. One girl says Barbie should change her hair because
Ken likes it straighter.
When her playmate announces that Barbie prefers her hair to be curly, the other responds,
Better fix Ken's sandwich.
Although it wasn't the first or last controversial Barbie moment, it was a definite setback for Barbie's feminist image. Nobody said it was easy being a feminist icon, and Barbie has undoubtedly been through the ringer, especially regarding her relationship with Ken. Nevertheless, she's continued to lead the charge of making children feel empowered, represented, and valued. And if you ask us, that's a pretty remarkable legacy.